Shows John Belushi in a bar drinking a beer. Phil Hartman, as a police officer, enters the bar. Hartman: "What's this, you drinking again, Jimmy?" Belushi: "What's it to you, Billy?" Hartman takes a seat next to Belushi and says, "I promised you, old lady, I'd keep you on the wagon. What's going on anyway?" Belushi: "I lost my job." Hartman: "You lost your job at the old sawmill? What happened?" Belushi: "They said I was being Islamophobic." Hartman: "Now wait a second, were you knocking some Mary's heads together or something?" Belushi: "No, Billy, not homophobic. Islamophobic." Hartman: "What the hell is that?" Belushi: "It means they think I hate Muslims." Hartman: "You mean those sand donkeys who took down the Twin Towers?" Belushi: "That's right." Hartman: "Well, gee, Jimmy, what'd you do to give old Pappy over at the old sawmill the idea that you're, Muslimophilic?" Belushi: "Islamophobic." Hartman: "Whatever." Belushi: "Well, the newest employee at the old sawmill, Abdullah Akbar, during his lunch break he was burning an Israeli flag." Hartman: "He was burning a Jewish Mary? You can't do that." Belushi: "No, an Israeli flag. F-L-A-G. Hartman: "Oh, okay, well, so what?" Belushi: "So what? My accountant's Jewish. I don't stand for any sort of anti-Semitism." Hartman: "So what'd you do, Jimmy?" Belushi: "Well, I punched him square in the kisser." Hartman: "You punched him in the pisser? Isn't that something a Mary would do?" Belushi: "No, not his pisser. His kisser. His mouth." Hartman: "Oh, okay, I gotcha." Belushi: "So Abdullah went straight to old Pappy, and he fired me." Hartman: "But Jimmy, men are men, and they get in fights at the old sawmill all the time." Belushi: "I know, but old Pappy said his hands were tied, and the times they were a-changin'. He said Abdullah had the First Amendment right to burn the Israeli flag, but that I had no right to punch him." Hartman: "So what are you going to do, Jimmy?" Belushi: "Well, I heard Abdullah does his banking at that bank on the west side of town." Hartman: "The old West Bank, huh?" Belushi: "That's right. And I'm going to plant an Israeli flag there so he has to see it whenever he banks. And I also heard Abdullah does all his shopping at that strip mall, the one owned by Pete Gaza." Hartman: "The old Gaza Strip, huh?" Belushi: "That's right. So I'm going to plant an Israeli flag there too, so that bastard Abdullah has to see it whenever he goes shopping." Hartman: "Well, Jimmy, looks like you got a plan. Good luck with that. I'm sure your accountant would be very proud." Belushi: "He better be. I'm going through a lot of grief protecting him from Abdullah's anti-Semitism." Hartman: "So what's with all the trouble between the Jews and the Muslims anyway, Jimmy?" Belushi: "I don't know. Something to do with the Holy Land?" Hartman: "Nothing holy about burning flags, Jimmy, except maybe if it puts a bunch of holes in it. Well, anyway, I'm on your side. My agent's Jewish." Belushi: "Agent? You're a copper. What do you need an agent for?" Hartman: "Oh, I got this screenplay I'm working on. It's about a cop who falls in love with his drunk friend's wife. I think I'm going to put it in there that the friend loses his job at the old sawmill." Belushi: "Now, wait a second. Why would you do that?" Hartman: "No reason, Jimmy. And Dead from the Earth, we're not alive." It's Saturday Night Alive, starring John Belushi, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, Norm MacDonald, Gilda Radner, Donitra Vance, and with many other special deceased contributors. Musical guest, George Winston, and your host, Ted Knight. Everybody, Ted Knight. Applause, applause, applause. Shows Knight on stage in a white suit who says, Thank you, thank you. I was an actor well known for playing the comedic roles of Ted Baxter in The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Henry Rush in Too Close for Comfort, and Judge Smales in the movie Caddyshack. Applause, applause, applause. Night. And in 1979, I had the privilege of hosting Saturday Night Live. I came out wearing the same white suit I'm wearing now. I put a toy on my head that made it look like an arrow had gone through it. I danced around a bit, spit out a glass of water, and acted like I had gotten electrocuted by the mic stand. And then I made a shocking announcement that I am Steve Martin's father. I said that I had to come clean because it was Christmas time, and I had to because of all those other Christmases I couldn't be there for a boy in a white suit and white hair. I said I rambled into Texas and into Steve's mother, and that all I could say to Steve's mom and the guy who thinks he's Steve's dad is, "Excuse me." And then I did a patented Steve Martin dance. But that's not the only man I fathered during my time on Earth. I also fathered the current President of the United States, Joe Biden. Yes, I was perusing Scranton, Pennsylvania right before being shipped off to World War II and met President Biden's mother, and who thinks he's Joe's father, and had a lovely time with them. Very lovely indeed. And so as I sit up here in the afterlife and watch my son run the country, I can't help but feel so much more pride for him than I ever did for my other son, Steve. While my son Joe is protecting our borders, keeping peace in the Middle East, and having the economy soar to new heights, my other son Steve is playing make-believe with Martin Short and Selena Gomez, solving pretend murder mysteries in a building. So while I commend my son Joe, I admonish my son Steve to go get a real job, like Secretary of State or something like that. Anyway, we have a great show tonight. Pianist George Winston is here, so get ready to hear tunes off his album Autumn. We'll be right back.